Hello artists, I'm DaleneFM, and I think today we're going to start talking about contemporary work. It just seems to fit. Contemporary painting is a little bit of a grey area for me in terms of the meaning of the word, because there seems to be a style referred to as contemporary and an era referred to as contemporary. Now, contemporary painting or contemporary art of any description would, strictly speaking, be used to refer to art of the current time. So art that is being produced now would be referred to as contemporary paint or contemporary art. But I'm thinking now, when does contemporary begin and end? You know, in the past, on the artistic timeline, we know that Renaissance art started and ended at certain times, or classical, or whatever the case may be. But is that the same for contemporary, or did all generations refer to their generation or their time period as being contemporary? Because that would have been quite accurate, because contemporary means now. So to them, that would have been contemporary, because it was their now. We know that in the case of the Impressionists, for example, they refer to themselves as Impressionists. Is it possible that other art styles were only named by later historians? I don't know. And that leads me to thinking, in terms of contemporary art, are we calling it contemporary art now? But at what point will contemporary art no longer be contemporary art? Because the meaning of the word is now, and it will always be now. You know, strictly speaking, the definition of the word is post-World War II. So anybody who's producing anything post-World War II would be considered contemporary. But then we've got people working currently who are working in high photorealism work. There are people that are working in very impressionistic work. There's all sorts of styles going on at the moment. And then we have this style that we refer to as contemporary. So not only is the word contemporary being used to describe artwork that's happening now, but it also seems to be used to describe a particular style of artwork. Now, we know that in terms of dance and theatre, we have a very specific contemporary dance, contemporary theatre. We know that in terms of sculpture, contemporary sculpture is very different from a lot of what is considered contemporary sculpture, is very different from a lot of other sculptures that are around. And the same will go for painting. There's also a lot of installation type artwork that is considered contemporary. And there's also, in my opinion, and I think there's a lot of people that will sort of hold true to this as well, but in my opinion, there's a lot of Emperor's New Clothes stuff going on out there. There's a lot of people hanging stuff on walls. I saw one today of a bicycle sitting on a chair propped up, a stool, bar type stool propped up, and a bicycle up on its back wheel propped up again. That was art, okay, if you say so. We all know about the unmade bed in the Tate Modern, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, there's a lot of stuff going on around that doesn't appear to be art, and yet in the eyes of some it is incredibly artistic. You don't know whether or not people are just agreeing that it is terribly artistic because they don't want to offend anybody or look out of place or appear to be non-conformist or conformist, whichever. And the academic with the glasses on the end of their noses will be the ones that are wanting to be impressed, possibly. I don't know, but yes, I do think there's a lot of people that are nodding their heads and saying all the right words, but are in fact really not kind of understanding what is going on here. They just go with the flow. And yet there are others who genuinely seem to think that that is incredibly artistic stuff. Now, maybe the same applies to painting. Well, yes, I'm sure the same applies to painting. I'm sure that there's a lot of work out there that artists like myself and others, you know, that produce the kind of work that I do, might look at and go, oh, please, you know. Now, what I need you to understand, folks, please, is this is purely my opinion. This is not, I'm not trying to sway anybody's opinion. I do understand that art encompasses all sorts of things from all sorts of different walks of life, and everybody will see something different and fall in love with something different. I, for example, am absolutely blown away by the likes of Thabo Negi. Thabo Negi produces exquisite artwork, in my opinion. I know that there are others who look at it and just see a whole lot of brushstrokes. So in terms of other people looking at me enjoying Thabo Negi, they might also think, you know, what is it? But You know, to me at least, Tabonegi deals with light so beautifully, and his brushstrokes are very descriptive, and there's something very innately emotional about his work, which I really, really enjoy. But it's not for everybody. But then the same goes for every kind of artwork. Even with classical artwork, there's those that don't like it. Not because it's not good art, it's just because that particular viewer doesn't necessarily relate to that particular art. I know that there's art that I've produced that some people have loved and other people have been indifferent about, and still others have not liked at all. So it's purely an objective thing. You know, everybody's opinion matters, and that's why so many different types of art work. So I do try very hard not to stand in judgment, although there are some things that I can't help expressing my opinion about, and Jackson Pollock's one of them, as you know, and an unmade bed is probably another one, and horses sticking out of walls. You know, it's just, I find it very odd. But those things are all kind of encompassed in this big melting pot of contemporary art that we talk about. So although this is not necessarily a tutorial, this is just a conversation that I'm having with a camera about what it is that makes art contemporary. It's more than just being produced at the present moment. I mean, I'm producing art at the present moment that would be considered contemporary purely because of the time period that it's been produced in, but it will fall into classical art, for example. You know, that's just an example. This is something contemporary. That would also be contemporary. I guess Roxanne over there would also be contemporary. My contemporary development is relatively new. I've only been exploring contemporary work for the last, I think, 5 years possibly. Before that, my artwork, I was under a lot of pressure and I strove to be quite photorealistic, and that's what I knew, that's what I'd always done, and that's what I always knew. And there was a certain joy that I discovered when I started to forget about the photorealism. Forget about trying to get everything so perfectly accurate. Forget about trying to smooth out all the brushstrokes. Allow yourself to be expressive more than, you know, accurate. And I have swayed. You know, I've done a lot of really, really brushstrokey kind of work that I haven't liked. I've done some that I have liked. I've done a lot of experimenting, and I'm sitting in this limbo state at the moment where my work seems to be hovering between contemporary like this and kind of expressionistic like this one that is not fitting in the frame. Yeah. So yeah, I know I'm an eclectic artist. I know that I am. One minute I'm doing something photorealistic, the next thing I'm doing something impressionistic, and then I'm doing something quite contemporary. And that is all part of the whole discovering process. There's a part of me that is very aware of the fact that I'm on the road of discovering myself still as an artist, even after 30 years. Because absolutely the road of discovering this new contemporary thing only started 5 years ago, and it takes a long time to develop something new in your art. So I think every painting that I produce is kind of indicative of where I am along that road, and sometimes I'll go way back, I'll fall way back onto photorealism. And in fact, for a whole year I made a decision at one point for an entire, I think it was last year, for an entire year I wasn't going to produce a photorealistic painting at all, because I know every time I produce a photorealistic painting I kind of take a few steps back in my search for contemporary freedom. But sometimes I'm closer to it, like with these paintings. I think I was closer to contemporary freedom than I have been with some other paintings that I've done even more recently than these. So it's a continuous road of discovery, and there's some part of me that really wants to master this contemporary thing, and there's other parts of me that doesn't ever want to really master it, because the road to discovery of new things, of new art forms, is kind of what keeps me motivated, I think. To me it's exciting. I love to produce paintings that show me something new that I have not yet done before, and something might happen by accident, and then I learned to incorporate that again because it was something that I enjoyed. By the same token, things happened that I didn't necessarily like, and it also happened by accident, and then I've got to try and avoid that sort of thing. Like most other artists, I'm relatively critical about my work, so I might sit back and look at my work, like the painting that I finished yesterday on camera. I'm not crazy about it, I've got to admit. I think I could do better than that. it has its place, I suppose, and it served its purpose in terms of the tutorial, but it wasn't my favorite piece of artwork. Contemporary work seems to encourage you to start to explore parts of yourself that you might not necessarily have known that were there, or been unwilling to explore. So it can be really, really challenging from an emotional point of view. I know when I start doing really exercises, actually physically sitting down and putting myself into a contemporary place, it can actually feel quite uncomfortable. I feel unnerved sometimes, because I feel a little bit like I'm almost analyzing myself. And I think also because it almost challenges my status quo. My status quo until recent years has been photorealism, and now this new thing is making me feel almost unaccomplished as an artist. Sometimes, not always. Sometimes I produce a piece of artwork that I'm really proud of, and other times I'll produce a piece of artwork that I think, I really don't know what I'm doing. And I don't want that to end. I really don't, because it's the growth that I'm experiencing as an artist over the last 5 years, and hopefully for many years to come, that inspires me, because I'm trying to achieve something. I'm trying to get better. The freedom that I've found with contemporary artwork, I think, has been a little bit awe-inspiring. I always, when I was working more in photorealism, I found art quite stressful. You know, people used to say to me, oh, you know, art must be your therapy. No, it's hard work and it's stressful. And I used to, you know, get to the end of a painting and I'll feel myself getting tense and I'd have to get up and walk around. And I don't get that with contemporary work. It's exciting, it's fun. I really enjoy doing it. Whether it's a failure or not, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy the release of pressure, I think, that contemporary work gives me. So, like I said, none of that is a tutorial. This is just me expressing myself in terms of what contemporary work means to me, and possibly to help you start to think along lines of exploring it. You don't have to accept yourself as the artist that you are if you don't want to. If you do, fine. You know, you don't have to change a thing about your art if you don't want to. In my case, it was about wanting to be more expressive, about having found myself quite stagnant almost, having produced the same old thing year after year, and I wanted to do something new. I wanted to learn something new. I wanted to push my boundaries, and that's what I'm enjoying most. And I think that's why I enjoy teaching so much as well, because to me, teaching and learning go hand in hand. I don't think I ever teach in an art class where I haven't also walked away from that art class with having learned something new, because the artists will share something amongst, with each other. They will ask me questions that make me think a little deeper about something that I may not have delved deep enough into before. So I found the teaching and the learning go hand in hand. So this is my journey towards being more contemporary, and this journey will continue for a long time to come. I'm by no means saying that I've knocked this on the head. I haven't. I've got a long way to go before I can sort of say I've arrived. And like I say, I don't know if I ever want to get there, because I'm enjoying the journey of it so much. But I'm going to share with you what I have learned so far about contemporary work. I don't believe that there's one specific way to sort of pigeonhole contemporary work as easily as what there is like classical work or, you know, chiaroscuro painting. It's not that simple. So I think contemporary work is going to take a lot more effort and energy to try to put across to you what it is that I have learned so far. And what you get out of it and what I'm putting into it might be two completely different things. That's what makes contemporary work so beautifully unique, is that for every person it is something quite personal. So artists, I'm going to start working on a contemporary piece tomorrow. Again, like I say, because it's a journey, it might well not work out, who knows, but if I stuff up on camera, I stuff up on camera and you guys will know about it. But I'm going to do it anyway, because I think as an artist, one's vulnerability becomes part of the artwork, and by doing stuff on camera like I'm doing it, I am being incredibly vulnerable, because yes, I am opening myself up to messing up in public, put it that way. Even from your mistakes, there is a lesson. So we learn from those things we do right, we learn from those things we do wrong. So whatever it is that I do for the epic journey will get put up. So tomorrow I will start working on a contemporary piece, and this contemporary thing is going to be a slow peeling away of the onion skins, and what you get out of it is going to be completely unique to you. So I do hope that you enjoy, And if you know of anybody that is particularly into contemporary painting, please share this video with them so that we can get them on board, and let's work together to explore this whole contemporary thing. Bye.
That's what you want to do.